Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. This week's Parsha is that of Toldos. We have the birth of Yaakov and Esav. As we know, Esav sells his birthright to Yaakov. And later we find that Yitzchak wishes to bestow a blessing that was given to Avraham, the inheritance of the land of Israel. He wishes to bestow this upon Esav, even though Yitzchak was well aware that Yaakov was a spiritually superior person, and Esav was a man of the world, so to say. Nevertheless, he did see within Esav great qualities, and Esav was a child of Yitzchak and Rivka, and he saw within him potential, great potential, and he had hoped that Esav would truly be a worthy recipient for these blessings, and it would help him correct his ways. Rivka learns about this, and Rivka understands with great prophetic insight that which escaped Yitzchak. And she commands Yaakov to impersonate Esav and receive these brachas, these blessings. Yaakov begrudgingly listens to his mother, for he is commanded to do so by the fifth commandment, to obey and honor his mother. And Yaakov receives the brachas from Yitzchak. Esav, when he learns about this, Esav goes into a rage and an hysteria. When Yitzchak recognizes that indeed it was Yaakov who receives the blessings, Yitzchak is grateful that Hashem prevented him from making a tragic error. And he says, Gam Baruch Yihiyah, indeed, Yaakov should be blessed. The blessings should remain where they are wholeheartedly for Yaakov. Esav lifts his voice in tears, pleading with his father for a bracha. And his father tells him, he gives him a bracha which is almost identical to that of Yaakov. Whereas to Yaakov, Yitzchak said that God should grant you from the dew of the heavens and the fat of the land, that you should have much grain and wine. To Esav, he tells him that from the fat of the land will be your dwelling place, and from the dew of the heavens you shall live by your sword. He's blessing Esav with the fat of the land. Esav, you will enjoy this world to its fullest. And yet the Torah tells us, Vayistem Esav is Yaakov ala bracha. Esav despised Yaakov because of this bracha. Vayoyme Esav b'liboy, and Esav said unto himself, Yikrubu yemei Evel Avi, the days of my father's shiva, the days of mourning for my father shall come. Vaharga es Yaakov ochi, I shall murder my brother Yaakov. When Rivka learns about this again through prophetic wisdom, she encourages Yaakov to go to Yitzchak, saying that he needs to find a wife. Yitzchak gives him again the brachas of Avraham, and he sends him to Rivka's brother Lavan to find his wife. Esav had an incredible hatred for Yaakov. Yes, Yaakov impersonated him, but Esav did receive a bracha, which is almost identical to Yaakov. And not only that, Yaakov's bracha is v'yitein lechahu elekim. Yaakov, God should give you this meaning that if you are worthy in the eyes of the Almighty, you will receive these blessings. If you are not, you won't receive them. Whereas to Esav, he says, Yiyah moshevecha, your dwelling place will be from the fat of the land, the dew of the heavens, whether you're worthy or not. You don't have to find approval in the eyes of God. Esav should be thrilled with this blessing that he got. And yet it says, Vayistem Esav, Esav despised Yaakov. Why did he despise him so much? And not only that, he said, the days of my father's mourning, the Shiva will be coming soon for my father, and I will murder Yaakov. Why does he wait till his father's Shiva? So our commentaries say he did not want to murder Yaakov while Yitzchak was alive because, number one, He had enormous reverence and honor for his father and would not want to cause his father the pain of witnessing the death of Yaakov. Secondly, he was concerned that if indeed Yitzchak would learn that Esav was the perpetrator in the murder of Yaakov, he would curse Esav. Esav didn't want that. So he'll wait until his father's death, and then he will take the life of Yaakov. The question is, why does the verse use a language in which Esav says, the Yemei Evel Avi, the days of my father's mourning shall approach, the days of his shiva. If Esav means that the days of my father's death, my father will die soon, that's what he should have said. He should have said, Yikravu Misasovi, my father's death will happen soon, and then I'll kill Yaakov. Why does he mention about the Shiva, the days of mourning? Esav sold his birthright. Unto Esav, the birthright, what is the meaning of the birthright? The meaning of the birthright is to be able to serve God. That was despised in the eyes of Esav, as the verse tells us, Vayivez Esav, he despised the birthright, because Esav maintained that our existence is based on nature, science, that which we can understand, and that which we have empirical proof, that which we can have tangible sensation, in which we see, we hear, we can feel, we touch. This is how man should live his life, and man should enjoy this world. We should enjoy this world as long as we are alive and can do so. The world to come, that's a dream. That Esav had no proof for. He wasn't prepared to live his life for that. Yaakov, on the other hand, was an Ishtam, Yoshev Holam. Yaakov dwelled in the tents of Torah study. Yaakov realized that this world is a mere means and an arena in which we can prepare ourselves for the true existence of the human being, our spiritual existence, the world to come. And therefore, Yaakov dedicated himself to this. Yaakov's very philosophy was the antithesis of everything Esav believed and lived for. That's why Esav was a man of the field, a man who would go out hunting. Esav would go and he would utilize man's creativity in the ability to create nets and traps and utilize the sword, the blade, the arrow that man created. We need to eat. This is how we'll do so. Yaakov's focus was on a spiritual existence. Esav understood that which Yitzchak reveals to us. When Yaakov came to Yitzchak, and Yitzchak didn't thought it was Esav, he noticed that the way Yaakov, the way this person was talking doesn't sound like Esav. Maybe the quality of his voice, or as Rashi tells us, the way he spoke so respectfully, with such dignity. Hakre Hashem, Hashem Alekecha, the Lord your God, he said to his father, enabled me to quickly be able to find the food and prepare it for you and bring it to you. That's not how Esav spoke. Esav spoke and he said, sit, father, and eat. Not please sit. He was curious. So he came and he touched Yaakov. Rivka dressed Yaakov in the garb of Esav and covered his hands so that he was very hairy like Esav. And Yitzchak says, Hakoel kol Yaakov v'yadayni de Esav. The voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Esav. Our sages hear in these words the eternal distinction between the Yaakov and the Esav. The power of Yaakov, the success of Yaakov is found not in his hands, not in his power, not in his might, not in his intellectual acumen, but rather in his voice. The voice of Torah study, the voice of prayer, the voice of expressions of kindness. That's the success of Yaakov. Esav's success is in his hands, his ability to do work with the physical world in which you build and you create and you utilize and you manufacture and you use the sword. That's Esav. Esav, it wasn't just the fact that Yaakov impersonated him. What is he so upset about? After all, he sold his birthright. And when Yitzchak called for Esav, he said he wants his Esav, the firstborn. Esav sold that birthright. He despised it. Why was Esav filled with such animosity and hatred for Yaakov? The answer is because Yaakov's very existence, Esav couldn't tolerate. His existence personified that life has a purpose, the purpose to serve our Creator, and there is more than this world. This world is just a preparatory state. And that is diametrically opposed to everything Esav believed. And not only that, it made Esav feel as though his life was completely in error. It made him feel as though his existence was for naught. And Esav couldn't tolerate this feeling. The very existence of Yaakov is what caused Esav such animosity. Not so much he got the bracha. Esav got almost the exact bracha. Esav's going to enjoy this world even if he sins and doesn't find favor in God's eyes. Yaakov has to find favor. He has to have the approval of the Almighty. It wasn't the blessing. It wasn't the birthright. It's the existence of Yaakov. Which Yaakov? Yaakov, the man of prayer. Yaakov, the man of Torah. Yaakov, the man who supports Torah. Yaakov, the man of kindness and charity. That's what he couldn't tolerate. And therefore he said, where is the portal of vulnerability for Yaakov? As long as Yaakov is studying Torah, that is his greatest shield. I cannot penetrate that shield. But when Yitzchak dies and Yaakov is sitting Shiva, the law is that a mourner who is sitting Shiva is not allowed to study Torah. Only those laws that are relevant for the Shiva. But Torah study is a source of great joy, and one in mourning is not supposed to experience great joy. Torah study, especially the Torah study of Yaakov, immersing his mind, his heart, his soul, that's prohibited. And Yaakov, the Klei Yoker, says, will not have the great shield of Torah study. And then Yaakov will be vulnerable. This is what Esav is saying. The days of my father's mourning, the Shiva will come, not just his death, but the Shiva in which Yaakov is not allowed to study Torah. If he can't study Torah, he's vulnerable. That's when I'll be able to take his life. This is the essence of anti-Semitism. The anti-Semitism has no logical basis. Jews are good for the economy. They're kind. They're studious. They're compassionate. Anti-Semitism is that Esav cannot tolerate the existence of Yaakov. Hamas cannot tolerate the existence of Israel. Those who hate Israel, on the contrary, they're providing electricity and water and food, education, medical attention, everything. The Muslims who live in Israel have never had it so good in their lives. They cannot tolerate the existence of Israel. For Israel's existence demonstrates the flaw and the fallacy of those who live their lives in the darkness, where Israel is indeed a light unto the nations. What is the antidote? What can we do to combat this anti-Semitism? To show the nations of the world we're just like them? On the contrary, they're not interested in our being just like them, and it doesn't work. What the Torah is showing us is when we have the shield, they might hate us, but it will be to no avail as long as we have the great shield and the great power. What is that power? HaKol Kol Yaakov. The voice is the voice of Yaakov, the voice of kindness, charity, prayer, Torah study, supporting Torah study, seeing that our Jewish community can be spiritually healthy, having strong education for our children, having a place of prayer that we can be proud and we can lift our heads and we can come together for Torah study and for congregational prayer. This is the antidote. That's what Esav is concerned about, the Kol Yaakov. As long as we have the voice of Yaakov, the hands of Esav will be tied. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay Jewish. Have a wonderful Shabbos.